Good day everyone, I am Enriquez. Today I am going to discuss the personal and academic value of literature to children. Literature for children leads to personal fulfillment and academic gains. So enjoyment is one of the most important personal gain. Positive early experiences often lead to a lifetime of reading enjoyment. The sheer enjoyment of reading instills a sense of love literature. Children's literature engages the child and create a pattern or ritual whereby children continue to read and thereby learn and grow from its own benefits, thus leading to realizing the academic value of literature. Second, the imagination and inspiration. Vicariously experience a different world inspired to overcome obstacles and accept differences. Third, the knowledge and insights. Offer information and wisdom, broaden experiences, viewing a situation from a different perspective. Fourth, the understanding and empathy. Literature also helps developing in emotional intelligence as said by Daniel Gilman. There are 5 basic elements of emotional intelligence needed by children, and they are self-awareness, managing emotions, battling anxiety, motivating themselves, and being sensitive towards others. Through literature, children gain and appreciate universality of human needs. All humans are alike to some degree and develop social justice. Fifth, heritage and cultural identity. Literature is a part of culture. It not only reflects cultural norms, values, and beliefs, but also can shape them. Sixth, the moral reasoning. Literature helps them formulate own concepts of right and wrong, way to test out the outcomes of their choices. And lastly, we have the literary and artistic preferences. Recognize styles of authors and illustrators, select favorites. It also possible to develop academic value of literature to children. Next, the moral reasoning. Literature helps them formulate own concepts of right and wrong, way to test out the outcomes of their choices. And lastly, we have the literary and artistic preferences. Recognize styles of authors and illustrators, select favorites. It also possible to develop academic value of literature to children. This time, I am going to discuss the relationships between children's development and their literature. Getting children to read is an important aspect of preparing them for success in school. While there are many different philosophies about how children learn language, most agree that exposure to diverse usage of language is an important part of the developmental process. Children's literature is important because it enhances development of language skills and other critical thinking skills that provide the foundations of learning. Focusing only on literature's value in developing language skills, however, overlooks other contributions that reading adds to a child's development. Children read for fun and in the process develop better reading skills and abilities to enjoy more reading because reading children's literature stimulates a child's imaginations. Reading provides an important visual experience. Books provide windows into worlds that many would never be able to physically visit and see, and encourage students to consider situations that would never have even occurred to them. This time, I am going to discuss the classical period, the ancient world of children's literature. Aesop Fables was an ancient Greek storyteller born around 620 BC. As a slave, he collected stories of animals, acting as people. Each of the stories or fables have lessons or morals and were retold to children during Aesop's life and to people in every generation since it is possible that Aesop was Egyptian or Ethiopian or that Aesop was a pseudonym for another person entirely. The man known as Aesop was freed from being a slave because of his cleverness, humor, and wit, and served as an advisor to King Croesus of Lydia in the 6th century BC. He was killed by the citizens of Delphi who violently threw him off a cliff in approximately 560 BC because he stole a golden chalice from Apollo's temple. Some of his most famous fables are the tortoise and the hare, where the moral is slow and steady wins the race. The ant and the grasshopper, where the morals are work today so you can reap the benefits tomorrow. And it is best to prepare for times of necessity, and the wolf and the sheep, where the moral is hypocritical speeches are seen through easily enough. He has many other famous sayings or idioms attributed to him as well that we say often in everyday life. Our graves, lions, share, crying wolf, and honesty is the best policy. Aesop's fables have been translated into every major language and have been written in some from since the 3rd century BC. Prior to that, the stories were retold by storytellers. Both the Hindu and Buddhist cultures have some similar fables in their stories as well. While all of the approximately 600 fables were not written by Aesop, he gathered all of them together for retelling, and they are still heard by children around the world today. So, let's proceed to Beowulf. Who is Beowulf and what is Beowulf about? Beowulf is the protagonist of the epic poem Beowulf, which was most likely written between 700 and 1000 CE. It is an Anglo-Saxon work that was written in Old English. An epic poem is a long poetic work often written in elevated language. Epic poems usually tells stories that are of a great importance to the cultures represented, and Beowulf is no different. It is a story about a hero, Beowulf who kills 3 monsters, Grendel's mother, and a dragon. The poem serves to illustrate many of the values that were important in Anglo-Saxon culture. Because Beowulf is the poem's hero, he embodies many of those values. So this time, let's proceed to the last part of the discussion, the Iliad and the Odyssey by Homer. So what are the Iliad and the Odyssey? These two works are epic poems credited to the ancient Greek poet Homer, though their authorship is not certain. They were most likely written between 800 and 700 BCE. The Iliad, and 725 and 675 BCE, the Odyssey. It is possible that one or both stories actually came into being earlier as tales that were performed and passed down orally. Scholars are still debating their origins. Both poems retell famous myths that would already have been familiar to Greek audiences. The Iliad tells the story of part of the mythical Trojan War, while the Odyssey tells the story of Odysseus' journey home after the war is over. Today, both the Iliad and the Odyssey have been widely translated into many languages. They are frequently the subject of scholarship and adaptation and are considered some of the most important works in the Western.